We all know that the hero is going to accept the call to adventure. We're here to watch a movie. We're reading a story. I mean, the story's over, and the hero goes, "No, I'm not. No,
it's like,
not for me.
Yeah, I'm not ready for
Credits.
Yeah, credits.
Not feeling it. I'm out of here.
Right.
Yeah, Rose is like, yeah, I'm not leaving the money. No.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm staying right.
Go back to your.
I'm good.
Go back to your. Yeah.
Right. So, but I mean, when you're writing, for the most part in fiction, even in nonfiction, if you can build suspense, it keeps the reader reading. It keeps the audience viewing. Right? No, you got to go. Don't. So the third one is refusal of the call.
To me, I always think of, and I'm so sorry for all the Star Wars references, Laura, but when Obi-Wan's telling Luke, you must learn the ways of the Force if you're to come with me to Alderaan. And Luke's like, I'm not going to Alderaan. I'm in so much trouble right now as it is. I got to get home. My uncle's going to kill me. I can't go with you. I don't even know what you're talking about. He's like, no way, he can't do it.
But even before that,
he wants to. He wants to, but he's like, I can't do it.
Yeah, so that's a refusal. But even before that, when he sees Princess Leia and she's saying, "Come help," he's like, "Yeah, okay, I got to do this stuff. I got to go milk the cows or whatever it is." Right?
The green stuff.
Yeah.
This makes the story more interesting, right? To have the hero have a legitimate reason why he or she says, "I can't do it. I can't do it." Audience knows that they're going to do it, but remember, when you read a novel, when you watch a movie, you do something. Okay, the audience, the reader, they all, for the most part, do something. They willingly suspend their disbelief. Right. So within that moment, while they're suspending their disbelief, you can play with them a little bit and go, "Okay, I don't know, the hero may not do it."
But I think we also see ourselves in that refusal. Because as, everyday people, we're like, I have a life, I have responsibilities, I just can't pick up and go run off and do this. This doesn't make sense for me. And then you go into the suspension of disbelief where, for some reason, they actually get to go do that, which most of us don't. And that's the intrigue for the movie.
Shrek! Who hasn't seen Shrek?
Oh, God's Chris's favorite movie.
It's a shame that I've seen all of them.
Homework. Homework.
I've never seen it.
Don't even get it started on it.
Is that?
It's really good.
Sandy, it is so
I
good.
mean, I've heard all
You
that,
will,
but I just don't. The way
you will watch it. You will watch it.
Borrow
and
my kids' food?
Yeah.
It is.
You will love him at the end of the movie. I promise. Okay.
I love Eddie Murphy, so
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll
you gotta watch
love
Shrek.
it.
But okay. But did Shrek, his call to adventure, did he accept it? Did he go in? No, he just wants to. His ordinary world is the swamp, right? So, all right. Watch Shrek.
Okay.
Shrek. I love being able to sign homework, right? Okay. All right.
The movie.
Yeah.
It is a good movie.
It is good.
All right. So the next, again, the order can be shifted around. Who saw Pulp Fiction? All right.
Oh, yeah.
That's all mixed up.
Yeah.
They do this, but it's all in a different
Definitely
order.
brain,
All right. So the next one is meeting with the mentor. This is where the hero really gets some perspective from either somebody they trust, or it may not even, it may have been just someone they just met.
Lord
So
of the
obviously-
Rings is a good one for that.
Do what?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of
Yes.
the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gandalf. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just so long since I've seen
I'm
Lord of the
thinking
Rings. I need to watch it all
Harry
again.
Potter and
That's what I was
Harry
thinking,
Potter.
Harry Potter.
Would it be Dumbledore? Is the meeting? Oh, you haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it.
No, I've seen
I
some of the
haven't
Harry
seen that one.
Potters, but I haven't watched a lot of them. Yeah.
Homework assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I watched Lord of the Rings first.
I
Read the
haven't
book,
seen
it's so
it.
much better.
Have you read the book?
Yeah, how about I read the book
Yeah.
first?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do that with the kids.
Not really.
But the mentor is somebody that encourages the hero, who believes in the hero. You ever heard the saying that so many people have accomplished much more than, I'm paraphrasing, much more than they ever thought they could because someone else believed they could? Right? Because a lot of times we don't believe in ourselves near as much as somebody else believes in us. So we may go, I can't do that, I can't do that. Somebody goes, go do it, why not? You can do it. I have faith in you. You go like, my gosh, I'm going to do that. This is kind of what that is right there.
Wind beneath my wings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the mentor in Wizard of Oz?
It would be the three.
Yeah, it's
It would be the three of them, the
Or
scarecrow and the lion. and
Keep
the-
that thought. Yes, I
I
agree.
mean, later.
I don't think they're the main mentors, but keep
Oh, you
that
mean,
thought.
okay, before they.
The fairy godmother, maybe.
The Good Witch,
The
Glinda,
yeah.
the Good Witch of the
Oh,
North.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you could also
Good Witch.
argue that Professor Marvel in the beginning is a little bit of a mentor.
Mhm.
He's looking after her best interest,
Yeah.
like, you need to get back home, there's a storm coming. But Glinda really is, the mentor. But remember what Chris said about, the three people traveling with her, because we'll go into detail about that.
It's almost like they were mentors to each other on that one. It's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it intriguing, I think.
When we get to the second half of this class, we'll talk about that in detail, and that will all be clear. So 5 is crossing the first threshold. This is where, this can be figurative or it can be literal. But a lot of times there's a demarcation, if that's the right word. In The Wizard of Oz, when the tornado took her to Oz, she crossed that threshold. It's like this physical crossing, but it can also be mental, where, and here's the best way to describe this. We're not in Kansas anymore. All right? So in,
Harry Potter, he goes from the ordinary Muggle world, the ordinary world where there's non-magic and everything else, to crossing the threshold into this whole magic world.
Yep.
Where there's a magic school and everybody's a wizard, and he's crossed when he goes through that alleyway. He's crossed the threshold.
Avatar. You remember when the Marine, and he went to the Avatar, and he actually went to that world? The way I think about this a lot of times is your main character is going to be bug-eyed. All right? Because they're walking to this world and go, wow.
All the Narnia.
Narnia.
Yeah.
Oh
Narnia.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which one worked?
Yep.
Yeah, some
So,
of them, I can see where some of them I'm sitting there going through my mind going, where would have been the first threshold? Some movies are not that clear.
I
Yeah,
was trying to
some
think
are.
on Titanic, your example, I was trying to think who's her meeting with the mentor and when is her,
Yeah.
I don't know about the mentor, but to me, crossing the threshold is when she goes down below deck to the party.
yeah.
She's in this high class
Yep.
world where
That's it.
everyone's sipping
That part of the
brandy
movie,
and
you
it's
think?
very calm, and then she goes down and there is a party going on below deck with all the lower class
She
people,
crossed,
and she crosses that threshold that
yes.
not when
She's
she
fitting
met
in
Jack and stuff.
Well, I'm getting ready to say,
Yeah.
so she's right, that's like that major threshold, but
Yeah.
there's some mini threshold
That's
Is
crossing.
this
where
a
she-
major or a mini?
When,
This first one.
I think it's,
again, it just depends on
it does depend on the movie. Again, that's why it's not.
Are there
formulaic.
figurative ones?
Yeah, I think
Are you thinking of
mental,
one in particular? Or?
Kinda. Yeah,
Like
have
what?
y'all seen Grosse Point Blank?
yes.
When he's looking at the baby?
I don't remember that in there. Grosse Point Blank is a movie, so this guy, this
It's
hitman,
actually really well
it is,
written.
hitman goes back to his college reunion. It's a
He's
comedy.
going back to his
It is
10-year
just
high
a
school
comedy.
reunion.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to go. That's
Yeah.
called to adventure to reunite
What's the
with.
name of this movie?
That's what
Grosse
it's
Point
called.
Blank.
It's
John
So I
Cusack.
watched
John
it.
Cusack.
I watched it in college when it came out or whatever, and I must have been desensitized at the time. I went back and listened to it. I wouldn't watch it around any kids.
Yeah.
Because the language is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
But mini thresholds, like when she meets Jack, because she, if I remember correctly, she actually kind of ventures from the upper class deck down to a lower deck where Jack is.
Yeah,
So that
so
is
to jump
crossing.
off the ship.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's crossing a threshold
So
too.
did Jack then, to your.
Is it the first one? I don't know.
I would,
I think Jack is a
In a
mentor.
different kind of way?
Jack, he thinks Jack is
Jack
a
is-
mentor.
He's the
They
one who
meet
pulls
when
her
she's
into
ready
the-
to commit
yes,
suicide. She's
different
hanging
world.
off the back
Jack
of
is
the boat,
definitely a
ready to let
mentor.
go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
that
comes there and meeting with the mentor, and you sure you want to do
Oh,
this,
yeah,
don't
that's
do
true,
this.
He's
yeah.
absolutely a
Consider,
mentor.
Yeah,
Pulls her
yeah.
back over,
Okay.
and then they're walking on the next day.
All this stuff will be,
Because he makes her change.
when
yeah.
we're talking about like, is a person mentor? Now,
Yeah.
when we talk about the second half, it all becomes clear.
Okay.
Sorry, can I jump in just
Yeah,
on one
absolutely.
thing? Because we're talking about novels and fiction, which is great, but I know some of you here are nonfiction as well. This all still works for nonfiction. If you read some magazine articles, especially in like, let's say, the Atlantic or the New Yorker, or, where they really, Harper's, where they really draw the article out, I just read a nonfiction book, a memoir called Manic, about a woman who's manic depressive. Okay, so she starts out, her ordinary world is just this psychotic bipolar world of ups and downs and highs and lows and sexual frenzies. But she explains it to us, that is her ordinary world. She is trying so hard to cross the threshold into what we all would consider normal. Down here, and working backwards, her meeting with the mentors with all her psychiatrists, where she finally figures it out. Her refusal of the call, or her call to adventure, almost in trying to become normal sometimes. Again, it is, I'm trying to think of a specific example that you
In her case, I bet it was more of a wake-up call.
It was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
She got raped, basically. Yeah. Because she was always had like a sexual frenzy when she
Don't
was
always think
bipolar
it's
and manic, and she ended up getting
adventure.
flirting too much, and it turned into a rape
Yep.
at the very beginning of the book. So that was almost her call that things were getting, out of control. But she keeps refusing the medication and the everything else, and I'm fine. I can handle this. This isn't, I have to be able to self-control this, and she keeps refusing what's going to take her eventually into crossing the threshold. So that's in a memoir, but you can still do that within an article. All of this can be used and should be used in nonfiction. This is what will elevate your nonfiction writing
Absolutely.
above everything else. Use this structure in nonfiction as well.
So to elaborate on that point, the very first class I ever taught about this like 3 years ago, there was a woman in the class who wanted to write a nonfiction book about one of her best friends. The person was just this great artist, was kind of rising in recognition and starting to get some fame, and she died at 40 of this. They didn't really, I think it was cancer. But she, throughout the class, I kept saying, wait till we get to the mythic structure, it will help you. But she kept saying, I don't understand how to structure the book about my friend. I'm like, wait till we get there. She's like, how's mythic structure going to help me in this memoir, even though it wasn't her memoir, but it's biography about my
Ordinary
friend.
world is so important above everything else, because
When
what
she
we
saw
think
this
is very
class-
boring, ordinary world is fascinating to other people.
Yes.
I don't know manic depressive world. That's a fascinating world to me.
That's right. So when
Yeah.
she got to this part of the class, and after she saw this, she's like, I got it.
Got
She
it.
understood
Yeah.
that she had to show her friend Karen in the ordinary world of, fun-loving, full of life, spirited, and, in the call of adventure and all the stuff. And it helped her put that whole structure in
Well,
place.
this sounds like your Donald Miller with the book that it's following.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
his
you can see it
definitely
now.
goes
When
through this.
you'll start seeing this in all the books you read now,
Yeah.
fiction and nonfiction, and magazine articles. The really good writers, you'll start seeing this structure again. Like Chris said, it's not necessarily always in exact order like this, but you can start picking out who the mentor. They might introduce the mentor in the first paragraph of an article. And that's how it comes about. And then later on, or they might actually start out. They cross the threshold into this new world. And then halfway through the article, you get the backstory of what the ordinary world was. So it's not necessarily linear.
And
Or if you're like me, I just realized, well, my writing sucks. Because I'm going, I see now what I missed. It's like,
My ordinary world.
I came, I saw, and this was it. It wasn't, it didn't have, I see
but I
something.
bet, see, a lot of us do many of these things naturally. There's something primal about this. That's why, myths evolved because of our need to have stories and to explain things that we don't understand. And so this is very primal. So a lot of us, when we write, so I bet if you go back and look at some of your writing that told a story, you will have gotten many of these things in those. But what will make it a better story is, I forgot to have the hero refuse to call.
You go back into editing mode at that point and try to.
But it's why people say there are no new stories. It's the same story over and over. It's just, okay, so the mentor is Gandalf or Obi-Wan Kenobi or Jack on Titanic, but it's...
Molly Brown was also
Molly
a mentor,
Brown.
remember
Yeah,
her?
but it's almost the same story. So you're at sea, you're in space, but it's almost the same story being told over and over again. There really isn't a lot new. It's how you package it.
Yep.
No, but this is the structure behind everything.
So typically the next thing that happens is a series of tests, meeting and gathering allies, and staving off and fighting enemies.
So back to Chris and the example he gave earlier from the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yes, there they are.
Sit, yeah.
Yeah.
There are your allies in your test. The
So
lion, the
Dorothy had to go through a
scarecrow.
series of tests, right? She gained during those tests a bunch of allies: Scarecrow,
Tin Man.
Lion, Tin Man. She made some enemies, or she learned more about her enemy, the Wicked Witch, and the flying monkeys and the
Speaking of-
trees.
Yeah, the apple
Speaking
tree.
of the
that-
Wicked Witch, have you